Funding for this video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
What's up, punks? And welcome to the video. Ooh. First and foremost, let's attend to the business in the room. Yes, I gave myself layers and bangs in the comfort of my own home for free. No, you do not need to call a wellness check on me. It's not a cry for help. It's me entering my official librarian era. Secondly, and I would argue most importantly, a lot of you have expressed concerns for this very frustrating hat that I have in my microphone currently. She doesn't fit. She's moving all over the place. It's embarrassing. This is the windscreen for something else, if it wasn't apparently obvious. But look what I ordered. They're a little cheap and flaccid, but that was my nickname in high school. What? No, it wasn't. So obviously we're moving up in the world. This channel is getting very official. Anyway, business time over. Let's initiate the party sequence, shall we? Yes. You know what I realized the other day? I haven't updated y'all on what my favorite books are since 2021. It's been over 2 whole years and I'm a completely different person. So today we're just gonna sit down and chat about my top 15 favorite books of forever and all time. Now, in my opinion, a favorite book isn't just a book that's well written or a book that has a good plot or characters or themes or whatever. It is a book that hits you in a very specific place due to very specific circumstances that have unfolded in your very specific life. It changes you. It helps you feel more understood. And it comforts you in areas that you didn't even realize needed comforting. So yes, I have read a lot of 5-star stellar books, but a favorite to me feels like it was written just for me. And for this very reason, I encourage you all to not let anyone make you feel lesser than because of the things that you like. Because we all look for different things when we pick up a book. And in that very same vein, do not you dare believe that you are better than anyone because of the things that you like. Elitism towards ink on paper is not tolerated in this house. We're all just enjoying stuff and that's cute and fun and beautiful and great. And also seeing as taste is so strangely specific, we're not going to sit here and pretend that any of these books are without faults, you know? That's the thing about a favorite book. The good is just that good that all the flaws seem to be galloping off into the sunset. Nowhere to be found. Okay, tangent time over. If you happen to be fresh meat, hi, my name is Allie. Around these parts and these here videos, we balance daily life alongside disability, celebrate mundanity, and read a whole lot of books. I've read like 300 books since the last favorites video. I'm here to give you an update. Most of what is on this list on my floor tend to be on the cozier, softer, slower side. What? Every book on this list isn't traumatizing like last time? Who is she? She has healed. She has grown. So from great to best, the first on the list is The Complete Collection of Frog and Toad by Arnold Lobel. I will do it tomorrow, said Toad. Today, I will take life easy. If you haven't heard of this iconic classic collection of children's stories, this is essentially an anthology that follows 2 best friends, Frog and Toad, as they go on the most mundane, everyday adventures. Is she almost 30 and including a children's picture book on her list of favorites? You bet your bottom fucking dollar I am. Because these stories healed me as a kid and I read them recently and they healed me all over again as an adult. The themes we explore include the power and importance of slowing down, why we shouldn't give up, why feeling and expressing our emotions are so crucial, and most importantly, how friendship can get us through dang near anything. When you're a kid, life has this kind of fun, freedom flavor to it, doesn't it? But it also is definitely very scary and confusing. And what they don't tell you is that when you grow up, life is still scary and confusing. But the secret is that you can still access that same flavor of fun and freedom as long as you recognize the little things and cherish the little things. And these stories remind me to do that, and they're top tier. Number 15. Next! Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. It was difficult when ghosts were everywhere to figure out what was real and what was imagined. This is a magical realism story that follows a girl who grows out of the foster care system and gets offered this job at this magical orphanage camp situation. And within it, every single child has a ghost incarnate of their trauma, like their past experiences manifest as a little spirit that follows them around. First of all, the setting in this one has carved out such a special part of my brain that I can still feel to this day. Like if I close my eyes and imagine the cabins in the field, it takes me there still, like 2 years later. And what makes this one stick out to me the most after all of these years is the way that it investigates trauma through the least exploitative way possible. I can definitely jive with books that are on the grimier, raw, real side of things, but I think it takes a specific talent to leave more to the imagination like this one did. It was the perfect balance between dark and wholesome. We are all humans. We all wake up messy and confused. Next! I Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. Talking is Existing. This is a short translated dystopic fiction that follows this group of imprisoned women who are trapped underground under strange and mysterious circumstances. Their captors are these armed men who don't speak to them. None of the women remember how they got there, but also none of them remember their lives previous to being locked up down here. I think this book just did such a stellar job at navigating the philosophical feminist waters that it poured into its pages. It's quiet and confused female rage. It's questioning what it means to be a person. And it presents the power that those of us imprisoned by varying social constructs find in the everyday through the mundane. It is so beautifully written and I devoured it without even trying. Despite not having all my questions answered in the end, it made me feel both vulnerable and understood. All at the same time, just such a gorgeous book from top to bottom. I was forced to acknowledge too late, much too late, that I too had loved, that I was capable of suffering, and that I was human after all. Next! Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. I am one of those cogs going round and round. I have become a functioning part of the world, rotating in the time of day called morning. This is another short translated fiction, but this one follows a 36-year-old named Kiko who works at a convenience store, and everyone around her are placing their arbitrary expectations on her to change her life and better conform, despite her being nothing but content in her day-to-day. And this 7-Eleven type space is just described so vividly, and you really come to see why she enjoys its confines so much. The themes remind us to not conform to the conjectures that people place on us, and to live our own truths, to find our own happiness, no matter what that may be. It also very refreshingly glorifies a day job. Like, I loved this breath of fresh air as we are forced to marinate in this hustle and grind culture, day in and day out. Personally, some of my favorite jobs were in underground warehouses or in factories, because being a cog in the machine, non-derogatory, is predictable and safe, but most importantly, it's purposeful. A machine needs its cogs to function, and this book shows in so few pages how everyone's roles and jobs serve value to the communities that they're in. There's no such thing as unskilled labor. We're all here with good reason, and ultimately reminds us that it's beautiful to work in a convenience store. After all, I absorb the world around me, and that's changing all the time. Just as the water that was in my body last time we met has now been replaced with new water. The things that make up me have changed too. Coming in at number 11 is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Fairy tales are more than true. Not because they tell you that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. This is a middle grade chapter book that follows a little girl named Coraline as she discovers a questionable yet magical door that leads to this almost completely identical world to hers, except literally every aspect of it seems to be better than her everyday. Colors are brighter, she has more toys, the food is more flavorful, but most importantly, her parents pay more attention to her. This is just another one of those chronically readable books with themes that slap. Another book that embraces the ordinary, but my personal favorite part is it reminding us to not fall into the foolish trap that the grass is greener on the other side, and to instead appreciate what we have, to recognize what we've got. It's also super creepy. Like, the movie was really good in my opinion, but somehow the book is even spookier and stronger. I love this one so much, I have the button key tattooed on my arm. I don't want whatever I want. Nobody does. Not really. What kind of fun would it be if I just got everything I ever wanted just like that and it didn't mean anything? What then? Number 10, Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. We don't talk about it. There's never so much as a knowing look. We sit here in silence, eating our lunch, but I know we are all here for the same reason. We're all searching for a piece of home or a piece of ourselves. We look for a taste of it in the food we order and the ingredients we buy. H Mart is where your people gather under one odorous roof full of faith, and they'll find something they can't find anywhere else. You are currently looking at the only book to make me cry, ugly cry. I've shed maybe 3 individual tears across 3 other individual books, but right here, this is the only book to ever make Niagara Falls spew out of my face. Multiple sob fests, and I've read Little Life, so don't get it twisted. This is Zauner's memoir that highlights and celebrates her relationship with her mother while also touching on her experience of growing her music career. But it's mostly about grief and love and loss and identity and culture and regret, while featuring some of the most delectable food descriptions I've ever feasted my eyes upon. I thought that this was just written so gorgeously and made you instantly connect to Zauner and her story. It also forced me to reflect on those who are important in my life, which is essential to do in my opinion. Just such a solid memoir, top tier to me. Love was an action, an instinct, a response roused by unplanned moments and small gestures, an inconvenience in someone else's favor. Next, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. If one tree fruits, they all fruit. There are no soloists. Exactly how they do this, we don't know yet, but what we see is the power of unity. What happens to one happens to us all. We can starve together or feast together. All flourishing is mutual. This one is a memoir-flavored essay collection, but hear me out. If you're not an essay girly, I still encourage you to not sleep on this one. This book is a crash course in cherishing the beautiful planet that we all share. It's unlike any other. Kimmerer is an ecologist and an indigenous woman, and so within each essay, she effortlessly weaves science and spirituality, feelings and facts, and it truly changed the perspective that I have for the world around me. Like, how in the world did she almost get me crying over strawberries, partially weeping over pecans? I don't know, but I'm glad she did, because in my opinion, we should be leaking ocular fluids over strawberries and pecans and all the other beautiful gifts that this earth has for us. Once again, a book that, say it with me, celebrates mundanity, and this time, and this is extra credit, critiques capitalism. Yes, we could get more that way, but it's got to seed itself for next year, and what we leave behind is not wasted. You know, we're not the only ones who like rice. Do you think the ducks would stop here if we took it all? Our teachings tell us to never take more than half. The next book I read for the first time last year, and in the reading vlog that it is featured in, I closed it thinking it was a 4-star really great book, but the more time that passes, the more real estate it takes up in my cranium. The writing feels like the Dutch word gezellig, which doesn't have a direct English translation. It basically means comfortable, cozy, at home, but in the sense of reuniting with a friend after a long absence. That kind of feeling. The writing is gezellig, and that book is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. To allow yourself to play with another person is no small risk. There is no more intimate act than play. This is a book that follows two best friends, Sam and Sadie, from being children in a hospital to adult business partners in the video game industry. But don't worry, you don't have to be this super mega gamer in order to connect with these pages. Like, I've been playing the same Paper Mario 64 game since first grade, and I still f***ed with this book hard. I don't even know how to put this into words, y'all. Like, this one felt like reading a YA John Green book when you were a teenager, but it's an adult book and now you're an adult, if that makes sense. And actually on the front of it, we've got John Green and Aaron Morgenstern who blurbed it, and it feels like those two authors joined forces and wrote this book. Gabrielle Zevin is a very talented author, is what I'm trying to say. It has such a special place in my heart to this day that whenever I see a copy at the store, I want to buy another one even though I already own it. My personal favorite part is that it's not a romance despite being advertised as such, and also it has some of the best chronic pain representation I have ever seen in a book before. Sam made me feel so much less alone while reading this, and it hurted a lot to read, but also in the best way. Sometimes I would be in so much pain, the only thing that kept me from wanting to die was the fact that I could leave my body and be in a body that worked perfectly for a while. Better than perfectly, actually, with a set of problems that were not my own. Speaking of representation, a book that celebrates platonic love and displays that heterosexual men and women can just be friends in this economy, thank you, I will have seconds. This book was just so human to me and really showed the trials and tribulations of having a long-term friend, how beautiful and purposeful insignificance is, how flawed human beings are, how natural that is, and how we all still deserve love. This was complex, but yet so simple at the same time, and overall just so memorable. I'm gonna have to reread this one soon because I just miss being in it, you know? There's no game without the NPCs, you tell them. There's just some bullshit hero wandering around with no one to talk to and nothing to do. Speaking of John Green, number 7 is The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. For me, finding hope is not some philosophical exercise or a sentimental notion. It is a prerequisite for my survival. This is an adult contemporary collection of essays, which is huge to me because I usually really struggle with this genre. And I think that that's a testament for just how strong this book is. If you love the celebrate mundanity phrase that I'm always spewing on this channel and you haven't picked this book up yet, oh my god, do yourself a favor and waste no more time. He basically collects all these humdrum run-of-the-mill everyday occurrences and gives them literal star ratings, all while connecting everything through his hilarious yet poignant prose that joins in a powerful force and provides such a chronically readable experience for us. In just one 3-page essay alone, you are questioning life itself, falling into some existential dread, then celebrating life itself, and laughing about Canadian geese. You know those books that you close and you feel like you've learned some, grown some, and learned some? While reading it, this is one of those books. You leave it both wearing rose-colored glasses and realistic, plain old regular glasses, and somehow they both enhance the other. At one point, he connects the world's biggest ball of paint to the vast timeline of human history and how all of our own metaphorical contributions of paint layers will inevitably be covered up by everybody else's metaphorical contributions of paint layers. But then he goes to say, but that doesn't mean your layer of paint is irrelevant or a failure. You have permanently, if slightly, changed the larger sphere. You've made it more beautiful and more interesting. The world's largest ball of paint looks nothing like the baseball it used to be, and you're part of that reason. This entire collection had me feeling less anxious about being strapped in the roller coaster that is the human experience, and that is a hard comfort to come by. So good. Up next is Devotions by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. This one is like if Braiding Sweetgrass had a baby with the Anthropocene Reviewed, but instead of essays, we've got poems, and it really is just as delightful as it sounds. I was under the impression that this was every poem that Mary Oliver ever wrote ever, and apparently that is incorrect, but it is safe to say that this is a great place to start if you are looking to dive into her discography. These poems relaxed me, and I really struggle with achieving that feeling big time. They're nature-y, they're celebratory, they're relaxing, they're slow. I am very new to the poetry genre, and so I really thank this one for welcoming me with such a safe and warm embrace. Truly such an accessible, timeless, and effortless to enjoy collection. Are you somebody that gets a lot of dopamine when you see a duck? Does a breeze through a window remind you to breathe? Or do you simply want to be prompted on how lovely all these things really are? Do yourself a favor in the morning, do not look at your phone, nay, get a warm beverage of your choice, sit outside or near a window, and read some of these poems. Start your day this way and watch your life improve, and thank me later. She's a poetry girl now. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Okay, we're going to keep one foot in the wholesome territory, and then we're going to gently raise our other foot and place it into so heartbreaking you may need to curl up into a little ball and escape your physical form for a couple of days. Are you ready? Fair warning was given. Because number 5 on the list is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Your mind will believe comforting lies while also knowing the painful truths that make those lies necessary, and your mind will punish you for believing both. This is a picture book that follows our young protagonist as he navigates his day-to-day life while having a very sick mother. One day, a big scary monster comes to his window and informs the boy that he will be telling him 3 stories, but once those stories are complete, the little boy then owes the monster his own true story. It is so painful and powerful. It traverses trauma through such a young lens, which makes it so cathartic and gut-wrenching. This is just one of those books that I feel comforted to have in my arsenal of stories because it covers themes and human experiences that we all have or inevitably will endure in our lifetime. Truly one of those books that absolutely destroys you, but still somehow leaves you feeling stronger in the end. It also contains some of my favorite life lessons like the all but unavoidable moral ambiguity that comes alongside being a human, the power of personal narrative, and the necessity of truth when navigating our own feelings and memories. Such a harrowing yet healing reading experience. There's not always a good guy, nor is there always a bad one. Most people are somewhere in between. Number 4, The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating by Elizabeth Tova Bailey. This snaily story nourished my soul. It's a memoir that follows Elizabeth, who is a chronically ill woman, but specifically we follow in her timeline after a friend of hers gifts her a woodland snail, and said snail keeps her company as she is bedridden. It zooms the reader from this vast, chaotic, and painful world into the smallest, simplest pleasures of hearing a snail crunch on a vegetable. She draws such powerful parallels between this new gastropod pal and her own lived experience, as well as sprinkling in some fun snail facts that she learns with us readers. Much like many books on this list, Elizabeth's memoir reminded me that even when life literally has you down, you still hold the power to partake in some of life's smaller pleasures. That even when you're unlucky enough to have your body betray you, if you're lucky, you still have your mind and most importantly your heart. As someone that suffers from chronic pain and is so obsessed with snails, it's a no-brainer why this book is on my favorites list and sits in the number 4 spot, but I still believe that anybody can benefit from reading this. No matter who you may be, it's a very important, cozy experience. I could never have guessed what would get me through this past year. A woodland snail and its offspring. I honestly don't think I would have made it otherwise. Watching another creature go about its life somehow gave me, the watcher, purpose too. If life mattered to the snail and the snail mattered to me, it meant something and my life mattered, so I kept on. In 3rd place is Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Sujimura. In another world, we were already friends. This story follows our protagonist Kokoro, who is a little girl who hates going to school, and one day one cutting class, the mirror in her bedroom begins to sparkle and glow and open this portal to this magical castle with 6 other kids who came from their own glowy sparkly portal. The Wolf Queen rules this space and informs all of the children that they have access to this fortress for exactly 1 year, and their goal within those 365 days is to find a missing key that is hidden within the confines of the castle, and whichever lucky boy or girl finds it will get one very special wish. The only caveat is that once the key is found and the wish is granted, the castle will cease to exist forever. This book feels like what it feels like to watch a Studio Ghibli movie in the sense that it is very slow and sweet and comforting, playful and light, but still dabbling in darker elements. What shocked me so much with this one is that the story took so many twists and turns at the end. I just was not expecting that at all while sitting comfortably with all of these cute characters, and then before my very eyes, all of these loose ends that I didn't even realize needed tying up became tied up. It was just so creative, it absolutely blew me away. Marinating in this magical space brought me so much joy that I do now have the Wolf Queen tattooed onto my body for forever. I've already read it twice and I can't wait to do so again. This book is so good. The next 2 on the list I'm counting as one reading experience despite them technically being series, but they're both on the shorter side and will take as long as one singular book, I promise. Hear me out. Trust me. In 2nd place, my favorite book is The Tea Dragon Society by Kay O'Neill. All 3 of them. You need to read all 3 in order to get the full experience. The full punch that it packs. Believe you me. These 3 graphic novels contain everything that I need, love, and look for in a book and also in life. If you're someone who loves cozy fantasy, don't sleep on these. But also if you're somebody who doesn't know where to start with cozy fantasy or even with graphic novels, this is such a safe and comfortable place to start. All 3 take place in this beautiful nature-filled world where there are these little dragons that grow magical tea leaves on their body, and our characters each have a dragon familiar, different flavored dragons. And when you make tea out of the leaves that come from the dragon's body and you drink it, you get to relive the memories that you shared with your dragon. So cute. You betcha it has my favorite themes of celebrating mundanity and enjoying the little things. However, it also does an excellent job at highlighting the importance in making peace in the uncertainty that is life, and the power of putting love and care into the things that you love and care about. This gentle journey forged by friendship comforted corners of my being that I didn't even realize were hurting. All 3 soothed sections of my soul that yearned for softness. These books are comfort incarnate. Read all 3 right now. And finally, my favorite book of all time, which is technically 2, but I count it as one reading experience, is The Monk and the Robot duology by Becky Chambers is anybody's surprise. A psalm for the wild built and a prayer for the crown shy. You don't have to have a reason to be tired. You don't have to earn rest or comfort. You're allowed to just be. I say that wherever I go. These are two tiny novellas, and so mathematically when you read both, it's one book, okay? So I'm counting it as one book. Because much like any start to a book, the first one has a lot of great exposition, but then the second one wraps everything up perfectly. But I'm getting ahead of myself. These are two sci-fi, steampunky, cozy fantasies that take place in a distant future where all of the robots have separated themselves from the humans to go live in the woods. Very relatable. Our protagonist Dex is a tea monk, and they are trying to figure out what their place is in the world. So they're wondering, what do I need? Who am I? Etc. But then they bump into Moscap, one of the robots, who has embarked on this journey to ask the humans what they need. And so seeing as they have very similar motivations, they join forces to embark on this super cozy expedition to answer the grand old question, what do humans need? As these journeys join forces, their friendship grows and is nurtured as Dex teaches Moscap about society. Through this, we get some of the most accessibly philosophical conversations that force us to reflect on our lives and perspectives. It is enough to exist in the world and marvel at it. You don't need to justify that or earn it. You are allowed to just live. That is all most animals do. This story is the belief in book form that we are alive because we are alive, and so we might as well enjoy the small stuff while we're here. They both have the feel of a Miyazaki movie with their quiet and slower scenes, all while exploring humanness while tackling life's biggest questions through seemingly simple answers that were technically there all along, but really just don't come to light until you have the help of a friend. Both say so much about what it means to be alive, morality, connection, and how to lead a meaningful life, all while relying on so few words and pages to do so. With a sprinkle of capitalist criticism in there as well as a treat. Like, this is everything I love in a reading experience. It is truly no plot, just vibes. So if you're somebody that needs twists, you need some turns, you need some stakes, this may not be the place for you, but this is my place. This is my place. If I could crawl out of my human form and live in a fictional world, it would be this one. It had me giggling, it made me feel so comforted, and was just my own personal cure of existential anxiety, reminding me to slow down because you know what? I'm fine. It's going to be fine. I'm doing fine. We're all doing fine. Favorite book of forever and all time. What if that is enough for now? What if we're both trying to answer something much too big before we've answered the small thing we should have started with? What if it's enough to just be? And that's that. There you have it. Those are my top 15 books of forever and all time as of right now, July 2023. My favorite shelf is technically significantly longer. There's some more books up there. I've got a lot of favorites, but these are the tippity top, cream of the crop. If you put these books in a little circle, you would summon my spirit type of deal. And so now I have two very seriously high stakes questions for you. One, what are your favorite books of all time? Feel free to list them all in the comments down below. You can share as many feelings, synopses, etc. as you see fit. And two, do you have any recommendations for me now that you know what I look for in a book? Now that you know what I cherish in a story? What book do you think I have to read? What needs to be added to the summoning circle? I need to know because my TBR shelf is never not expanding thanks to y'all's book recommendations. I absolutely love talking books with y'all. So thank you for sharing all of your feelings with me in the comments. I read them every day. I appreciate it so much. I adore this cozy corner of the internet. Speaking of, thank you so much to everyone on patreon.com who make this cozy corner of the internet exist. It is entirely thanks to everyone on there that I'm able to call this my job and able to continue reading and creating, which is my favorite thing to do. So thank you so much. I'm so endlessly grateful to all of you. I'm gonna get going and edit up this video so I can send it out into the void. While my body is in recovery, we are beginning an every other week uploading schedule. So I will see you in 2 Sundays on August 20th with a funky fresh reading vlog. Thank you so much for your patience and kindness and support. Mark your calendars. Or I guess you could just subscribe and turn on notifications if you are hip and happening with technology. And as always, thank you for clicking, thank you for caring, and thank you for being nice. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!